Hello, everybody out there. This is Mr. Knowles, and this math lesson focuses on solving story problems or word problems involving tenths in fractions and in decimal form. So before we get started, I just wanted to cover a couple things to remember. So everyone needs to remember that you can write 1/10 in fraction form like this. This would be a word form. And this is decimal form, 1/10. Most people will say 0.1, but we would say that's also 1/10. And over here on the right, 10/10, remember, is equal to 1 whole over here. And you'll notice I grayed out that 0 in the tenths place. I just did that so you realize that there is a 0 there in the tens place. It holds that place value, but we normally don't write the number 1 like that. So let's get started on some example problems. Example problem number 1. Yesterday, Ben's bamboo plant grew 5/10 of a centimeter. Today, it grew another 8/10 of a centimeter. How many centimeters did Ben's bamboo plant grow in 2 days? And then we have this part over here. It says write your answer as a decimal. Okay. And what's nice is someone already drew a tape diagram for us. So down at the bottom, you'll see there's two fractions there, 5/10 and 8/10. So if I added those, I would get 13/10. And if I did a number bond of 13/10, I know I can get 10/10. That's equal to 1 and 3/10. So this 13/10 is the same as 1 and 3/10. Well, they want it as a decimal. So do you know how to write 1 and 3/10 as a decimal? Hopefully you remember. This is equal to 1.3. Now another way to think about this, I think I have enough room in this box, is inside here it's 5/10, that's the decimal, and inside here it's 8/10, that's the decimal. And over here on the side, I'm going to show you how to add decimals. You just line them up by place values, just like you would whole numbers. And I want you to notice what's really important is those decimal points are lined up too. So that way you have your tenths lined up and you have your ones place lined up. And now we can just simply add the 5/10 and the 8/10. That's 13/10, but we put this 1 up here in the ones place because we're going to bundle up, like remember in the past, early in the school year, we would bundle and carry over to the next place value. That's what we're doing. So we're putting that 1 over there in the ones place because it's really 10/10. And then we're going to add that 10/10. Now it's a 1. It's a 1 whole. And bring that down. And don't forget your decimal. So that's our answer. We have to write how many centimeters did Ben's bamboo plant grow in 2 days. Somewhere I would write Ben's plant grew 1.3 or 1 and 3 centimeters. That's probably the shortest way you could write that, but I hope most of you write it longer. I bet you could find other ways to write it longer. Let's look at another example. Ed bought 4 pieces of salmon weighing a total of 2 kilograms. One piece weighed 4/10 of a kilogram, and two of the pieces weighed 5/10 of a kilogram each. What was the weight of the fourth piece of salmon? Write your answer as a decimal. So someone again drew a tape diagram for us, and you'll notice there's a W here. That's what we don't know. That's what we're trying to figure out. That's that fourth piece that we're trying to solve, and all four pieces together equal 2 kilograms. Down below, I am going to write this in decimal form. That's 4/10. This is 5/10, and then there was a second piece that was 5/10. And then we have this unknown piece, and they all equal 2. Well, I'm going to add those. So I'm going to line these up. And I have 2 5s, so I see 2 5s and I automatically think, okay, that's 10. So remember, that's 10/10. Because we were talking about tenths place. Another way to think about that. And then 10 and 4, that's 14/10, right? And you would bring that 1, which really is 10/10, over to the ones place. And you would do that. So you would have 1 and 4/10. If you added those fraction forms, you should get the same answer. 14/10, and that's the same as 1 and 10/10. Same thing, but we haven't answered it yet. We're trying to figure out what that missing piece is. So how far away from 2 are you? Well, you could subtract. You could take that 2, put a 0 in the tenths place, and then bring that 1 and 4/10 over here and subtract it from the 2 to find that missing piece if you wanted. You might already know it. So make a subtraction sign there. So there's a 4 here, but there's a 0 above, so you can't do 0 minus 4. You cannot take 4 away from nothing, so you have to borrow from the 2 in the ones place. So I'm going to borrow. That is going to become 10. Now I can subtract 10 minus 4, 6. And now I'm going to go to the ones place. 1 minus 1 is 0. There's a decimal, don't forget it. So that's my answer. This one we did not know is 6/10. So somewhere you'd have to write your answer as a decimal. The fourth piece of salmon weighs 6/10 of a kilogram. Let's do one more. Jen is knitting a scarf that will be 2 meters long. So far, she has knitted 1 2/10 meters. How many more meters does Jen need to knit to complete the scarf? Okay. So we have a tape diagram again someone made for us. And I'm going to rewrite this as a decimal. And then we have this missing piece. So how much more do we need to make 2? And maybe you already know what it is. But I'm going to again invite you to write 2 like that and put the 1 2/10 underneath, because we can subtract to find out what that missing piece is. And again, you have a 0 up here in the tenths place, You cannot take 2/10 away from nothing, so we have to borrow. So let's borrow. And borrow from the 2, this is going to become 1, and this is going to become 10 in the tenths place. And now I can subtract. 10 minus 2 is 8. And in the ones place, 1 minus 1 is 0, it's nothing. Don't forget the decimal. So this missing piece is 8/10. And together they make 2. So our answer, let's see what the question was again. How many more meters does Jen need to knit to complete the scarf? We can write Jen needs 8/10 meters to knit the scarf. I hope these problems are helpful to you. Remember that you'll be solving these word problems, solving them out how you can. You can use fractions or decimals, but ultimately your answers have to be in decimal form. So make sure that you make those changes if you need to. And again, if you have any questions, please ask. Have a good day.